what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
All right. What is it, Tuesday night? It's Radio Baloney Live on Tuesdays. I'm your host, Richie Baloney. How's everybody doing? Who we got? We got Spambot, we got Rumbum, we got Jesse in the chat. Good to see you guys. All right, what are you guys talking about? Rumbum's saying, like to start the night with the most politely worded statement from all true Canadians and Americans. Fuck off, Miss Pride Minister, and take your, oh dear, that's cheeky. Take your bum temperature checker meat slinger with you. Oh dear. Hey, we got Nevada in the chat. Good to see you. All right, just hit the like button. Did you get the first like? Did you get the first like? Everybody knows that's double good karma. Double good karma. Of course, it's good karma every time you hit the like on the stream, but you know, we got Izzy in the chat. We got G-Flood. Everybody's showing up. All right, good evening to you guys. Okay, what's going on? What are we talking about tonight? We're going to start out with, we'll go through the menu. So Eric Adams. So he's been breaking ranks with the Democrats, the mayor of New York City. And he's saying some interesting things. And we'll take a look at what he's saying. I want to talk a little bit more about the Hunter Biden pardon of his son, Hunter, what's behind that. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about, because there's one thing that we forget about. We talk about Burisma and the money from China and all that, 10% for the big guy. But what about just this obvious scam, Hunter Biden's art? You know, where he was taking in big money from this. Big money from this. You know, $500,000 per canvas. Look at this. 11 pieces sold for $875,000. I thought we'd take a look at that too, because I forget, you know, we tend to forget about that because we think about Ukraine, we think about China, we think about 10% for the big guy, all those crazy deals, the shell accounts, all of that. But what about, this was just an obvious one in everybody's face. So I thought we'd talk about that a little bit. Which, I mean, anything sketchy to do with this, any kind of, you know, influence peddling seems to be the preferred corruption of choice. Any of that, anything to do with this is also gone as well. Let's see. We got a little touch of Trump derangement syndrome here. I actually haven't even watched this one yet, so we'll watch it together. There's some Poilievre stuff, which I was going to show you last stream, and we didn't get to it. So we'll talk about this. He's talking about, you know, the border stuff and a bunch of stuff. We'll get into that. We've got Jordan Peterson destroying Justin Trudeau, and I thought you guys would enjoy that because we like destroying Justin Trudeau on this channel. So we're going to get to that. All right. What else we got here? We got Jon Stewart is talking about the Hunter Biden pardon. And, you know, he's interesting. I mean, he's like Bill Maher, I think, in that he will support the people that he also hates until the end of time, just like Bill Maher would. Like Bill Maher, he hates wokeness, but he will vote for wokeness every single time. Here's Jon Stewart talking about the corruption, but Jon Stewart also will just support the Democrats to the end of time. It doesn't matter what happens. He'll just vote for them. He'll support them. He will criticize them, but then ultimately support them no matter what they do. It's a weird phenomenon. Let's see. We got, there's Eric Adams. So we're going to listen to him. We got some stuff on the Fannie Willis here. Fannie Willis. She just seems to be just failing terribly. Super incompetent and corrupt, it seems. Let's see. EPA advisor admits insurance policy against Trump is funneling billions to climate organizations. We're going to throw gold bars off the Titanic. It was an insurance policy against Trump winning. Lots and lots of crazy corruption. We got some Elon Musk stuff here. We have just some random stuff. We got monkeys just having fun in the sauna. We got like a beaver here who builds dams inside the houses, which that's kind of fun. Just nice stuff. Palate cleansers. What's going on here? Biden calling for a constitutional amendment called the No One is Above the Law Amendment. Isn't that interesting? Maybe we'll start out the whole Hunter Biden pardon thing with this clip. Anyway, so that's it. We've got stuff. Of course, we have palate cleansers if it's required, puppies. Look at this guy. He's got a leaf on his paw. You can't expect him to walk around like that. Of course, we have the cooking shows. This is the newest edition here, thanks to Eves. Of course, if you need to know how to make bruschetta, we have something on that. If you need to, some new sandwich recipes, we have sandwich recipes as well. And of course, the classic, the greatest, the first, the original, the best, the noodle lady. If you need any instruction in making noodles. So there we have it. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And maybe we'll start off with this. First, I'll get to the chat for a second. Let's see what's going on. You guys are fighting for the first like, but only one can be the first like. That's the problem. Let's see. Izzy says, sure hope there's going to be a coffee ad. I could sure use one. Well, if I can, if I have enough viewers and they let me do it, I will certainly do a coffee ad, and I will love doing it. Let's see. Izzy says, hope that beaver isn't in New York. I know. They're going to murder it. That's what they do there. Let's see. Noodles. What it says. Noodles are great. Let's see. All right. So what's going on here? Who's this from? Western Lensman. So he's got Biden saying some different things here. Let's take a look.
I'm calling for a constitutional amendment called No One is Above the Law Amendment. Each of us is equal before the law. No one is above the law. The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. Those responsible can be held accountable. In my administration, no one is above the law. I'm calling for
well, except his son, who's got an 11-year, very specifically dated 11 years, where Hunter is literally above the law, and for just anything that he did, right? So except for that, including, I don't know, this super sketchy, what just seems like an art scam to me. But let's go here. Let's see. Joe Biden met with Hunter's business associate 16 times, so that's a worry. So this is one we've talked about. There's the stuff that the really, really obvious stuff, the laptop stuff, the 10% for the big guy, and what Bobulinski was talking about, the Burisma, the China money, all of that. But we kind of forgot about, this. New York Post is saying Hunter Biden's artwork is actually good and will be worth a lot, experts say. Really? Look, it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's not great. These aren't masterpieces. I mean, who would think that? Who would pay $50,000 or $500,000 for this? It's gimmicky stuff. Look, he's blowing paint with a straw. I mean, I think that he's blowing paint with a straw. He might be smoking crack through that, or maybe he's going to use it to snort the painting or smoke the painting. I don't know. But, it's gimmicky, these aren't masterpieces. That's what I'm saying. You don't just suddenly become a great artist, putting out quality artwork, putting out artwork that people would want to pay $500,000 for. I know that that banana sold for $2 million, the banana taped to the wall. Okay, I get it. But in this specific instance here, Hunter Biden, it just seems a little sketchy to me that somebody would want to pay, never mind $500,000, $50,000 for that. Again, I mean, it's not actual finger painting, right? He's not making it with macaroni, I guess. Not that that would be worse. Maybe it would be better. I don't know. It's not just full on finger painting. It's not a stick man, but it's not like it's impressive. Like anybody would notice that. I mean, maybe if it was at the Salvation Army and it was in a decent frame, you'd pay $5 for it or something like that. Is it just that he's famous? Is that why? The historical thing? Or is there maybe something else? Maybe there's some sort of influence thing happening here. I don't know. It seems pretty suspicious. We know about all that 10% for the big guy stuff. There's another one there. I mean, is it horrible? I mean, it's better than just like a stick man, I guess, right? But it's not anything special. I mean, this we're assuming that he's actually doing any of this himself anyway, right? Let's see. Hunter Biden's paintings are getting a New York City exhibition this fall at George Burge's Gallery. Prices range from $75,000 for works on paper to $500,000 for large-scale paintings. Nothing suspicious about this at all. I mean, not that he has to worry, because he's got that 11-year pardon, which covers literally anything that he did, as far as I can tell, up to murder. And I don't think he murdered anyone. I'm just saying it covers literally everything. Hunter Biden sells 5 art prints for $75,000 each. So that, I guess that's one of them there. So I mean, masterpiece, I don't know. I to my eye, right? Maybe I'm just not cultured. So this is from November 9th, 2023. The House Oversight Committee will be subpoenaing Hunter Biden's art dealer as soon as this afternoon. According to the Daily Mail, Hunter's artwork has sold for millions to mysterious buyers over recent years. Yeah, it was supposed to be like a blind sale so that he wouldn't know who was buying it, so that would take care of the whole influence peddling thing. But I mean, I can think of lots of ways you can get around that. So, but again, this, apparently went nowhere. That's not surprising. Hunter Biden allegedly tried to pay $300,000 he owed in rent with art made from his own feces. From his own feces. That's a new one. Let's see. Sean McGuire. So what happens to the $300,000 plus in back pay rent that Hunter Biden owes my family from 2019 to 2020? Is that pardoned now? Thanks, Joe. And this is a true story. Is it true? Yep, true story. Hunter was our tenant in Venice, California, didn't pay rent for over a year, tried to pay with art made from his own feces. Made from his own feces. His own feces. Isn't that so interesting? Oh, he ended it off with absolute shitbag. Absolute shitbag. So, I mean, that's a new one. I haven't heard that. I don't have the rent, but I could give you some shit stains on some paper that I made. I can't confirm that that's true or not. I don't know, but it sounds like the sort of thing. Also, it would sound like, maybe that's something somebody smoking crack would do. First off, doesn't have the rent, and then wants to pay you with shit stains on paper. I don't know. It kind of sounds like something a crackhead might say, might do. I don't know. Let's see. Let's check it. Do you want to see just these hysterical narratives here? Let's check this out.
A lie
NBC
because
News said it.
Honestly,
NBC News.
What the other side has been saying for years, what you guys ran on for president was multiple lies. I mean, if Eric Holder said it right, I think he said if Hunter's name was Joe Smith, this case would probably have never even gone to trial, right? That it was always a political
Whose
witch
Justice
hunt,
Department brought the
and it
case?
was always.
But Lee,
and this
wasn't
part,
it? But wasn't, to Scott's point, I mean,
wasn't it a lie? I mean, you can defend it, but wasn't it a lie that he was not going to pardon him?
No, I believe the circumstances have changed. I think that we
What has
now have a
changed?
president coming into office who's talking about firing squads, who's talking about running people around the country and making sure that everyone who's his enemy is going to be punished. And Hunter Biden lied about his drug use on a government forum when he was buying a gun. And he failed to file and pay taxes when he was a drug addict. He paid back those taxes with interest. Donald Trump himself was indicted for 17 counts of criminal tax fraud, more than Hunter, and he's going to be the president of the United
11
States.
years.
So
blanket
you're
pardon.
missing a few things here. 11
blanket
years.
pardon.
You know, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if Joe is going to like step down right before, like on the 19th of January, and then have Kamala pardon him for that same time, or maybe just for his entire life. Right? I wonder if something like that might happen. It's interesting. But CNN panel member Leigh McGowan warns Biden's pardon is necessary because Trump is considering firing squads. Yeah, typically hysterical and just trying to just pivot, distract, just so silly. Let's see. How about this? So Chris Cuomo and Stephen A. Smith here. Let's hear what these guys have to say. So Chris Cuomo is trying to resurrect himself, resurrect his career, trying to be now fair or objective in some way. I don't know. Some people probably trust him. I don't personally. I mean, the guy just flat out lied about being in quarantine, right? In front of, even after it was proven that he had not been in quarantine, he still pretended. They did the theatrical thing of him coming up the stairs, coming out of quarantine. That takes a special kind of sleaziness. But anyway, let's hear what they have to say now. Maybe this is just significant in that it's a change. He's decided that now this, going for a more objective take on events is, going to be more financially beneficial to him, which would signal a change in the culture. But let's watch.
What's your take on the pardon? The Biden situation disgusted me in terms of the pardon, only from this standpoint, Chris. Nobody on the planet, you want to be a cynic and you want to act like you would be offended by something like that if you're one of those people out there, fine. But no one within reason would have a problem with him saying, it's my son. I love him. There's no way I'm sending him to jail. And I have the power to avoid it. Nobody would blame him for that. But that's not where he went. So I didn't have a problem to answer your question directly with the decision that he made to pardon his son. Boo-Boo the Fool knew he was going to do that. I don't care who he stood in front of or sat in front of and said that he wasn't going to pardon his son and he was just going to go by the letter of the law. Please, everybody and their grandmother knew he was going to pardon his son. But to come out and to start talking about how it's been a witch hunt and the Department of Justice and others were after him or whoever it was, and the GOP rather was after him. Well, wait a minute. What have y'all been doing with Donald Trump all of these years? Now, you can make an argument about the legitimacy of the cases against Donald Trump compared to what wasn't legitimate, et cetera. That's not the point. The point is it was clearly politicized. You had folks on the left who were hell-bent on going after Donald Trump because they were determined to make sure that he couldn't run for re-election or that these elements would get in the way of him possibly winning re-election. And
yeah, I mean, this should give pause for thought to the people who are like, no, all of these cases against Trump are totally valid. And Joe Biden is just the paragon of virtue and respectability. Yeah, like we all knew that he was lying, that he was going to pardon his son because we knew how much he had writing on it. We knew about all the corruption, right? We knew about the Hunter Biden laptop, obviously. And so we all knew he was going to do it to protect himself. That was obvious. Now, the talking heads on cable news, and in fact on network news, all pretended, at least, that they thought that, in fact, they used it as evidence of Joe Biden's integrity. Like as an example saying, look at his integrity. He's saying that he's not going to pardon his son. It's like, I'm thinking, and I'm sure you guys were thinking, well, maybe wait until it comes down to it, right? Maybe you should just wait and see, like saying you're going to do something with integrity It's not the same as actually doing it, right? That's not evidence of your integrity. If you say, I'm going to do good thing, that's not evidence that you're a good person. You kind of have to do the good thing first. It's one of the amazing things. When you go back and watch the clips of the talking heads, the teleprompter readers, talking about Joe Biden saying he's not going to pardon his son, they actually used it as evidence of his integrity. Just bizarre. I mean, it shows you it's just narrative control, obviously, because they would never give that kind of grace to Trump or any conservative for that matter. But what a bizarre thing, right? Hold on a second. He just said that he's not going to do it. Why don't you wait until it gets to the point where it actually matters, where he's actually going to have to do it or not do it, where it actually becomes something that's going to be a cost for him. What an amazing thing. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Hold on one second. Okay. I think we got all. Okay, I think we can move on. So, yeah, I mean, my ultimate point is that we forgot about this, right? There's so much corruption that I personally forgot about the art stuff, which just seems to be obvious corruption, right? I mean, why would anybody give him $500,000 for a painting? Is it really, is the Biden name really enough for it to hold value, or is the value something else? It seems fairly obvious, right? But this is now, whatever happened with this, doesn't matter. He's got that very long pardon for just everything. And obviously, that affects his dad as well, legally, right? So, anyway, really, this was just for myself because I'd forgotten about the art stuff. But anyway, let's continue on. And actually, let me see if I've got anything else. Anything else in here? Did I have anything else about it? Oh, here we go. Okay, we're not quite finished yet. So from Betty Johnson, Joe Walsh blasts Democrats, saying their argument against Trump is now deflated after Biden pardoned his son, Hunter. All right, let's take a look.
See, I told you so. They're all like that. So the next time any of us complain about anything Trump does, this pardon is just deflating. For those of us who have been out there for a few years now yelling about what a unique threat Donald Trump is, for Joe Biden to do something like this, Trump, nobody's above the law, we've been screaming. Well, Joe Biden just made clear his son Hunter is above the law. Donald Trump lies every time he opens his mouth, we've been screaming. Joe Biden repeatedly lied about this. The politicization of the justice system, Donald Trump and his people have been screaming. Well, that's exactly what Biden said here.
Joe, is this a politics of purity? I mean, we had Donald Trump.
You know, it's so interesting because this entire time, you've had like this inversion of reality, right? So you've had these ludicrous cases against Trump with changing statutes of limitations and trying novel legal theories to turn misdemeanors into felonies, just absurdities, right? You just, what looks like to any objective observer, I'm sorry if there's any lefties listening right now, but to any observer, anybody with a fair eye to it, you'd say these things just seem ridiculous. It just seems like political persecution. This is lawfare. You have a president persecuting through the legal system his chief political rival. It just looks like that, and it looks like it, and it is, just obviously. And we're, you know, the lack of success in the cases speaks to that as well, right? Even with all the politicization, the fact that all of these things were going to be overturned, right? Even the stuff like the Mar-a-Lago loan, the loans in New York, that is a joke that's going to be overturned. Everybody thinks that. But while you've got this ludicrous political persecution going on, you have the real corruption, the actual evidence of corruption with the Hunter Biden laptop with the 10% for the big guy. You've got the money coming from China, from Ukraine, right? And you had this fiction, this fairy tale. Not that I think anybody is pure, especially not in politics, right? But you've got this fiction that Trump is evil, Trump's bad, all these ridiculous cases and felonies and stuff cooked up against them. But Joe Biden is this man of integrity. He's the good man, the good man. He said it's just evidence of his integrity, of what a good man he is, that he's not going to pardon his son Hunter. And then right at the end, boom. And not just for the things that he'd been in court for, that he'd been charged with. Anything going back to 2014 while Joe Biden was still vice president. It sure looks fishy, doesn't it? It sure looks like maybe this is a pardon for Joe Biden just as much as Hunter Biden, or maybe primarily for Joe Biden. It's just funny to see the whole narrative just collapse. Let's see. Did we have anything else on that? Let's just see. No, I don't think we did. Oh, no, actually, we're not quite finished yet. We might as well get it all the Hunter Biden stuff out of the way first. Then we could move on. So Hunter's sweeping 11-year pardon is too suspicious even for late-night comedy shows. The corruption is so blatant, even blue voters are seeing through it. Let's take a look.
Faith in the rule of law. Finally. Democrats have a moral perch from which they can judge without shame, hypocrisy, or nuance.
Breaking news, President Biden has issued a pardon for his son, Hunter Biden.
At his own, leftist audience, they're laughing at this.
We were so close. But get fine. It's good. It's right. It's his right. He's an 82-year-old man. Doesn't want to spend the rest of his life visiting his son in prison. Republicans get away with this shit all the time. I'm sure the pardon is a narrowly written, precisely drawn farewell note of compassion for a loved one.
The pardon sweeping, covering offenses that Hunter Biden, quote, has committed or may have committed or taken part in over the past 11 years.
11 years is a very specific and not rounded amount of time. So, Hunter, I'll give you a pardon. A few years, 5 years, 10 years. It needs to be 11. And if you would be so kind, make sure this upcoming New Year's Eve is also covered. Shit's going to get crazy. I didn't know pardons could cover crimes you may have committed. I'm surprised Biden didn't include the phrase, on Earth 1 or any of the Earths in the multiverse.
Yeah, 11 years. Specific. His crimes weren't from 2014, by the way. I think the earliest one he was charged with was 2 years later in 2016. So why go back to 2014? Right? And Joe's still the vice president. And by the way, on the Burisma stuff, I don't know. But this takes away the moral high ground, doesn't it? From anyone who wants to talk about Trump and lack of integrity, blah, blah, blah. You can't say now, this is so transparent. Even Jon Stewart has to do a piece on it, right? This is so transparent that this isn't about Hunter Biden. This is about a lot more. This is about Joe Biden. Joe Biden. So that's it. What else? I mean, it's kind of hilarious that the whole narrative is just falling apart so bad. I mean, Trump has just destroyed everything. That whole narrative, the whole corporate media narrative has just been destroyed by Trump. Right? Because if Kamala had won, well, maybe you don't need the pardon, right? Maybe you don't need it. But Trump won. So it's like, might be some trouble here. How do I protect myself? I'll pardon Hunter, but how do I maximize this for myself? 11 years? 11 years should cover it, I hope. Can we make it just forever, always, beginning of time until the end of the universe? Can we make it that? No? Well, I guess we'll have to settle for 11 years, I guess. All right. So what are you guys saying? All right. Well, the chat has been busy. Let's see. All right. Hold on. I got to go way back here. Way back. Okay. I think I've caught up. All right. So Nevada says, I hope all these Bidens end up in jail. Well, that's not going to happen. I don't think. Rumbum says there are no real beavers in New York nowadays, just confused platypuses. Confused platypuses. It's so sad. What has happened to Western civilization? Let's see. Nevada says huffing paint. I think he's referring to this there. Huffing paint. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to smoke the painting. I don't know. Let's see. G Flood. How you doing, G Flood? It's money laundering a lot better than pretending to consult for an oil company. It just seems so obvious that it's money laundering, isn't it? Doesn't it? I mean, look at this stuff. $500,000? Come on. This isn't more impressive than what, honestly, like an 8th grader could do with a straw and some paint. The reason the reason that you do it like this is because you have no talent, right? You can make kind of cool looking patterns and stuff without any talent or skill. That's why you do it. Let's see. Izzy says they really think people are dumb. Well, there are a lot of dumb people. We got to admit that. Rumbum says it's better than over half the modern art you see now. True. Modern art it seems to be a race to the bottom. I will say it's better than a banana taped to a wall. It's better than that. I'm not saying it's good, though. As he says, only if the frame was worth at least $5. Yeah, you could sell one of his paintings for $5 at the Salvation Army if the frame was worth $5. Let's see. Nevada says, investigate the buyers. Well, there's no point now. Let's see. G-Flood, I had a friend whose sister did defiant art. His stuff is almost on par. Yeah, that just sounds like defiant means like I don't want to put any effort in. Nevada says, follow the money. Well, they did find out a couple of them. So let's see. Turns out one of his collectors is a Democratic donor, a Los Angeles philanthropist and real estate investor named Elizabeth Hirsch Naftali, who gave $13,000 to President Joe Biden's 2020 campaign and was later named to his Commission for the Preservation of America's Heritage Abroad. So right there, you can see some corruption, right? Some tit for tat, buying a position, allegedly. The White House did not comment on the timeline regarding Hirsch Naftali's purchase of Hunter Biden's art and her July 2022 appointment by the president. The show made headlines, so talking about his art show here, for the 6-figure prices being charged for Hunter Biden's paintings, which were as much as $500,000 per canvas. Yeah, come on. Just come on. Not buying it. Even if they were really good, right? Because even if they were really good, you'd be like, yeah, but that's is that really going to hold up as an investment even? I'm not sure. I mean, most art I think is just an investment now, isn't it? Let's see. G Flood says she didn't use poop. So that person who made the Defiant art didn't use poop. Let's see. Like Hunter, apparently, using poop. Oh, Rumbub says Hunter taking notes from GG. What was his name? GG. Oh, that horrible, horrible human being. GG Allen, was it? Yeah, GG Allen. But I think it's spelled, I think it's 2 L's. That's what confused me. I think it's GG Allen. Yeah. Oh, just don't even research that. It's just gross. Izzy says, does that work? I'd pay my taxes and shit stains if it is. No, just for a Hunter, apparently. Although it didn't even work for Hunter. Let's see. Rumbum says, I don't know how Jennings doesn't just off himself right there in studio, being around these wackos all day, every day. Well, he's made a career out of it, right? Apparently, he's just been put on the editorial board of the LA Times, which I'm super surprised by. In fact, I want to fact check that because we saw that in the last stream and I didn't fact check it. I want to fact check it. Hold on a second. Fact check. Hold on. All right, let me bring it on. Conservative commentator Scott Jennings joins the LA Times. I mean, it doesn't get any more left-wing than the LA Times. So, but you know, it's interesting because the owner, this Dr. Soon Xiong, had the paper not endorse a candidate in 2024. So they didn't endorse Kamala, which is that's just, normal Democrat default, obviously. So that's interesting. Is this shifting? Is this signaling a shift even in far left media like the LA Times? Will you see something like from we had the Washington Post didn't endorse a candidate, right? Because obviously, and they had people quit because of that. Right? Because Amazon guy, Jeff Bezos, said, no, I think that we're not going to do it this time. For what reason? I don't know. The owner of the LA Times as well. Are we seeing a shift? Are we seeing a shift back to something more sane? Obviously, there's always going to be a left-wing bias, but not, are we going to see at least some attempt to get back to actually informing people instead of just narrative control? I mean, having one guy who's not in the cult, how much difference can that make? A little bit. We'll just have to see how it works out. But anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, we're talking about let's see. But yeah, Scott Jennings has they've made his career for him because the people around him on CNN are so insane and so dishonest and such obvious liars or just obvious lunatics or cult members, right? Doesn't really have to even do that much. He just has to roll his eyes just so people go, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, he's not nuts. But he's done an incredibly effective job at countering them. And I've shown you many of his videos here. Right? He's done a great job. Really, I think I imagine he's probably incredibly thankful to the lunatics on CNN because they make it easy for him to go viral. Let's see. Izzy says 11 years of crimes pardoned without naming them. Nothing says nobody is above the law like that. That's the thing. 11 years. Why specifically 11 years? Why does it go back to 2014 when Joe Biden was vice president still? Like the crimes are from, I believe, 2016 to 2019. So why? I mean, well, we know about the painting stuff. That's just obviously super suspicious. I mean, that just seems absolutely perfect for corruption right there. You know, just anything he did in that time. Come on. Again, we know in this inversion of reality where Trump is evil and he's guilty of all these things, where they actually have to come up with novel legal theories that have never been tried before and changing statutes of limitations, all this. But you've got this treasure trove of crimes, the Hunter Biden laptop. You've got witnesses, Tony Bobulinski, right? You have people with firsthand accounts of it, witnesses, right? All of that, the actual stuff. And this just confirms what we all knew, right? This all just 11 years and just anything. Look, Hunter was clearly Joe Biden's bagman. Clearly, 10% for the big guy. Obviously. So it confirms what we all knew, but it also shows this inversion of reality that people have had to watch. Uh-oh, Jesse, how you doing, Jesse? Jesse says, I heard Hunter Biden had information that would lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton. Problem solved. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's actually mean. Saying that's mean. You know what could happen? Let's see. Chief Flood, the gun and tax charges do not go back 11 years, but the pardon does. Yet the earliest of them is, I believe it's 2016. So why 2014? But we know why. Right? We know exactly why. Let's see. Jesse says, why am I getting doubles? I don't know. It just happens sometimes. It's something we got to live with. Let's see. Jesse says, Burisma. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Izzy says, the big question is, will anyone in the media actually going to look into the crimes now? No, they won't. Because they're complicit in the cover-up, right? They were covering up the crimes on purpose. They're implicit. They can't do it now. Because people say, well, okay, why didn't you say this before exactly? Why did you have such a curious lack of curiosity for all that time? And now you're interested in it? What? No, they're complicit in the cover-up of it. So they're not gonna be interested, aside from just, partisan reasons anyway. Nevada says, can I get a 45-year pardon? No, you cannot. Is your last name Biden? Then no. Let's see. What else we got here? I'm going to have to scan down a little bit. Izzy says, it was obvious money laundering right in our faces, 100%. Let's see. All right, I got to skip down a little. Wow, there is a lot of chat here. I got to skip right down to the end. Hey, we got POTUS George Kirby in the chat. Good to see ya. Says Bobulinski should sue all the people who slandered him. Yeah, I would like to see that. Let's see. Rose, you got Rosie in the chat. Good to see you, Rosie. Let's see now. I can easily read Rosie's comments on the Rumble feed because she's a member of the channel. So hers get highlighted because that makes her special and better than all of the other people. So just saying. Let's see. Rosie said, word out there is Hunter has encouraged this so he will be able to expose his dad. Well, something I'm hearing that's interesting. Something I'm hearing is interesting is that now, if he's called to testify in front of Congress, Hunter Biden has lost his Fifth Amendment protection. So he's lost the right to not incriminate himself. So he has to tell the truth. And if he doesn't, and it's proven that he's not, then he can be charged. So that's interesting. I don't know. It's not something I've looked into deeply. It's just something I've heard. It's something I've seen on X. I'm not going to absolutely vouch for that, but It's something interesting. So maybe, I don't know. I mean, the family is just, they all just seem like dingbats, right? But that could be interesting. All right. Let's see. Rosie says, oh, well, JJ's, you're in luck. Rosie has pardoned you for 45 years. So apparently it's not worth anything, but you've got her pardon. So I guess, yeah, she's not going to convict you of any crimes or charge you with any. So, I mean, that's something. That's not nothing. All right. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Let me see something first. Not enough people yet. Almost enough people for an ad, but let's wait. I normally do them too early. We're gonna shut off the YouTube part of this pretty soon too. So let's move on. What do we got next? Maybe after this one. From Jebber Fauché. Essentially, what he's saying is that people who voted for Trump may seem nice, but deep down, they are practically Nazi sympathizers. I have not watched this yet, so I'll be watching this for the first time with you. So what does this say here? I think I'm having such a hard time reckoning with the fact that everyone that voted for him is just a bad person deep down. Even if they seem nice, they're just bad. This is what you would hear from somebody in a cult, right? So this is cult behavior. This is cult thinking, right? Let's watch.
I know, Holly. It's like it's heartbreaking. I've cut people out of my life that are on the surface really nice, but when you get into the core values, it's like it's hideous. And
so yeah, this is cult behavior, right? This is what happens to cult members. They're encouraged to to isolate themselves from non-believers, right? And in fact, you've got the mainstream media, got Joy Reid on there with the Yale psychiatrist, actually giving the appalling advice to isolate yourself from your family members who you disagree with politically. This is pure cult. My assertion on this is that this is evidence of the mind virus, because what's happening is the mind virus, especially after a defeat like this, the mind virus just suffered a bad defeat, right? So it's a self-defense mechanism for the brain infection that is progressivism, wokeness. It's a self-preservation method. So it's isolating itself. The terrible, counterproductive ideas are isolating you or isolating this guy from other ideas that might serve as medicine, that might hurt the mind virus. That's why they're isolating. That's why cult leaders have the cult members isolate themselves away from people with other ideas. I think it's just so blaringly obvious that that's what's happening here. These people have been parasitized by a mind virus. They're ultimately victims, I think, right? And they feel they're very smug about it, and they're very self-righteous, and this is a part of it. This is a part of it. This is, the warping of their mind and of their self-image. But let's continue.
There's a photo that honestly haunts me. It's like there's these people, they're young and they're happy and they're all fucking smiling and joking, and you can see the joy in their face. But this is in Germany during World War II, and they're standing in front of the gas chambers, and that's where they're at, right? They're super happy. They're super happy, but they're part of that, and there's a disconnect between.
See, you cannot be rational and draw a parallel between the United States today and Nazi Germany and young people dancing in front of a death camp, right? Like you if you think that, there's something wrong with you. I mean, it's beyond just historical illiteracy, right? At that point, you have to wonder what happened to their brain. Like, it's not that hard to see how absurd that is, that comparison is. right? There's something going on here.
The reality of what it is that they are doing and who they are versus the facade that they're showing people. And it's a bit difficult to navigate. I know.
See, because a rational person might say, well, maybe the nice person thing isn't a facade. Maybe I've got it wrong, right? A cult member won't do that because their mind has been parasitized, right? They won't do that. A rational person will go, well, maybe what I'm thinking, maybe these comparisons that I'm making are actually crazy. Maybe I'm the one that's crazy. Maybe reality doesn't reflect this, right? Maybe I'm not reflecting. Maybe I'm not accurately describing reality here. Maybe I'm off. And the hilarious thing is that they're tricked into thinking that they are superior. They're morally superior and they're intellectually superior. Like the people who will cut out their own family because they disagree with them and are incapable of looking at it through some other facet to let them know no, they're not evil. They don't actually support. My family doesn't actually support gas chambers. Right? Like, it shouldn't be that hard. It really shouldn't. But in a sense, I pity these people because they had no defenses against the mind virus. Right? They just, as soon as it entered their head, they were lost. They were gone. They had no immunity to it. And there are people. The mind virus doesn't infect everybody. Not everybody is without defenses. I mean, most people, I would even say, have a natural immunity to these terrible ideas. But there are some who don't. They never stood a chance. The second it got into their brain, it took over, and that was just it. And you can call them weak-minded, whatever you want to say. For some reason, the mind virus found an extremely welcoming environment in their brains. Anyway, what are you guys saying about it? I know you guys have got something to say about this. Let's see. Let's see. All right. All right. Hold on, you guys. I'm trying to find something on this specific video that I just played. Are you guys not talking about it? What's going on? POTUS George Kirby says, yes, Izzy, we all have gas chambers in our closets and basements. Yeah, Izzy says, wow, that's what he finds hideous. We're secretly guarding gas chambers. I mean, it's just, if you think that's going to be that's just the next inevitable, step in MAGA is gas chambers, because Trump uses rhetoric that's extremely similar to the rhetoric that Hillary Clinton and Obama were using in like 2009. Like, you're not thinking straight at that point. If you think that policies are pretty indistinguishable to what the Democrats had 20 years ago, at least in sentiment, right? Like Hillary Clinton was talking in 2009, this clip of her, maybe we'll find it. I'm sure you guys have already seen it. She's talking about, if you commit crimes, you're out. You're out. If you're going to stay, you're going to have to pay fines. You got to learn to speak English. Speak English. Speak English. I mean, if you said that today, if anybody said that today, you got to learn how to speak English. I mean, you'd immediately be called, the bad guys from Germany in World War II. Immediately. So I guess that just historic illiteracy is a part of all this. But I do think that the mind virus, it's a real thing. And it really does take over people's brains. It turns them into zombies that just exist to spread the woke mind virus, to the point where they will isolate themselves from their own families, from the people who love them, friends, families. It's a kind of mental illness, for sure. Let's see. Let's see. Rumbum says, these cult crazies get more unhinged every day. Saw today that chicks are getting their tubes ripped out, blaming Trump making them do it. Even if their boyfriend got the snip, guess the other ones didn't you? It's just deranged, right? This is just, it's totally deranged. Let's see. Yeah, Rosie says, so the woke mind virus is so sad because it causes self-isolation and ruins relationships. Cult. Yeah, I get that is cult behavior, and it is to protect the mind virus. It's the mind virus protecting itself. POTUS George Kirby, these crazies also think Trump is going to annex Canada, so they're just throwing darts blindfolded at this point. Yeah. The question is, are they dumb or are they just pretending to be dumb? That's the question. But Trump said, yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess he's definitely going to take over Canada then. Obviously. Like, are they just pretending to be, 10 years old intellectually, or are they really that? That's the question. I mean, okay, hold on.
Fact check.
Oh, okay, here we go. Let's see. Does Trump want to annex Canada? The president was teasing and says, a top Trudeau minister who attended Mar-a-Lago dinner. Why is this, it's astonishing. Like, they want to be taken seriously? Like, the media wants to be taken seriously? Let's see, what's more likely? Trump was joking, or he's actually planning to take over Canada? Are they told? President-elect Donald Trump cracked an old joke about annexing Canada, and Ottawa is still trying to figure out if it was meant to be funny. So at least Politico understands it's a joke, right? Let's see. Still, journalist Matthew Iglesias, an American naturally, likes the sound of erasing borders. Well, he's a commie, actually, so yeah. Annexation is clearly a good idea that it would make both Americans and Canadians better off, but nobody talks about it except in the context of occasional nationalist bluster. Here's what I would like. I would like a First Amendment. But what I think that Canada should do is have a big constitutional crisis and then give ourselves a First Amendment and a Second Amendment. That's what we should do. Let's see. All right. Anyway, that's enough of that. We don't need any more of that. Let's see. Let's see. Rosie says they are not dumb or pretending. They are steeped in and bound by lies. G Flat says dumb or pretending? A little of both. I think that's usually the case. Dumb and pretending. Nevada says Nazi this and Nazi that, blah, blah, blah. The great tragedy is that Nazis and communists are not spoken about with the same disdain, right? They've just picked one, which they've told everybody is right wing, which it's not really. I mean, the modern uses of right and left don't actually apply perfectly to what you would consider that back in the 30s. But Nazism it has some aspects, but really it's called National Socialism. That gives you a little bit of a clue, right? Again, there's not perfect, matches for then and now, and how the way we use terms and the meanings of words, the meanings of terms change, right? But I would have to put, fascism generally and Nazism as a left-wing movement. Again, National Socialism. And there was plenty of socialism. They did plenty of things that the, Democratic Socialists of America would like. Sure, they did lots of things they wouldn't like too. But in terms of economically, man, they did lots of stuff they would have no problem with. But the real tragedy of the Western civilization is that you don't talk about socialism and fascism as if they're just equal partners in evil, just equally bad. But certainly communist. I mean, Stalin was every bit as evil, if not even more evil than Hitler. Same with Mao. But young people haven't been taught this, and they haven't been taught this for decades. If just this basic bit of just obvious, demonstrable fact, historical fact, were taught to children, we wouldn't have a lot of the problems we have today. Right? You wouldn't have the leftist extremism, which is, at least according to cable news or like the CBC or the BBC, totally normal, right? You have far leftism that's just considered to be actually totally mainstream, even if it's not mainstream in actual society. But in the media and in the institutions and in universities, mainstream beliefs, far left beliefs are totally normal there. That needs to change. Like Stalin, Mao, Fidel Castro, they all need to be. We need to have an actual realistic view of these people in historical context. Right? It should be deeply embarrassing to walk around with a Che Guevara t-shirt on. People should look at that as if you're walking around with a Goebbels shirt on. Right? To have a hammer and sickle should absolutely carry the same social weight and penalty as wearing a swastika. 100%. And that needs to happen. It needs to be deeply embarrassing to hold these left-wing ideas. We need to mock them, for one. We definitely need to mock them. But it needs to, it's deeply unhealthy and counterproductive for Western civilization to allow the institutions to lie about these ideologies and about these historical figures. But anyway, let's see what else we got going on here. Let me skip down to the end. Let's see. You know what? Actually, we're going to cut out the YouTube part of this right now because we are over an hour in, and there's censorship and all kinds of problems for me if I let it run too long. So we just cut it off after about an hour. It seems to not create too many problems. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, please come over to Rumble and watch the rest of the stream. We'll be going for another hour or so. And if not, well, I guess I'll see you on Friday. But goodbye, Stalin Tube.